I'd say one of the most common questions I actually get is, where do you approach women? I know I've covered this topic before on the podcast, on my YouTube channel, on TikTok. I've talked about this, but I think it really, and I'm sure I'll talk about it again, but it really begs to be talked about a few times, because I think guys should understand where to approach women. And I don't mean a specific place like, oh, you need to go to a yoga studio, or the cute girls are at your gym, or, make sure you go to a, raging club. Really forget about the specificity of the type of place it is, and I would focus on quantity. Okay, so quantity. So what does this mean? Quantity means you need to be thinking about where are the places where you can do a lot of approaches. Volume is the most important thing. Right now in 2021 and 2022, and even if you're listening to this in the year 2030, I'm sure it's not going to have changed. The name of the game is volume. You need to be approaching a lot of women. If you're doing online dating, you need to be swiping on a lot of women. You need to do a lot of volume for the reasons that there is a lot of competition out there. So a lot of people are doing a lot of dating and have a lot of opportunities to meet a lot of people. So you need to be doing the same thing. Also, with your 3 non-negotiables, you need to be making sure that you're finding a girl who's good for you and what you want, whether it be casual or a serious relationship. You need to be finding a woman who wants the same things that you do and is on the same path as you, and just whatever the non-negotiables are. And it might not be easy to find that if you're talking to 2 women a month. The odds are you will not find a person who's going to meet your non-negotiables, or someone who's going to be good for what you're looking for dating-wise, if your volume is low. So that's my argument, so to speak, for high volume. So that means that you need to go to places that have high volume. So you might think off the top of your head, there's that one coffee shop where there's always 1 or 2 cute girls. I need to go there and do that. So that's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I also think that a coffee shop might be a tough place to get a lot of volume. You're probably only going to get one approach out of a coffee shop. Because when you go there, you can't just go around and just talk to every single girl and hit on them. That's going to be kind of strange. It's not going to work that well. You got maybe 1, maybe 2 approaches out of a coffee shop. So maybe that's not the best place. Now, again, you might live in, I don't know, who knows, Europe or Asia, where sometimes some of those coffee shops are very big. Hell, there's even Starbucks in some major cities that are very big. Well, that's a different story, right? A Starbucks connected to a Barnes & Noble, if that's even still around, then maybe there's more approaches there. But again, so I'm not trying to tell you specific places, more so think about the places where you can do, and here's the tip today, and here's the kind of rule to follow, where you can do a minimum of 5 approaches. If there's a place that you want to meet women, or you want to practice the art of approaching and meeting women in person, and you think of a place to go to, if the number in your head is, there's probably not going to be more than 5 women to approach there, it's not going to be a good place. So I want to be careful when I say this too. I'm not saying you should never approach at a coffee shop or a yoga studio or a place where there's only a few approaches. That's fine. All the approaching that you're doing and all the approaching that I'm trying to coach you through here on this podcast, and of course in the coaching program as well, prepares you for those moments, right? The idea is get a lot of volume so you can get really good at approaching. So in that moment when you're actually going to the coffee shop or going to yoga, going to the gym, or going wherever, and you see that one girl that's really cute, you're going to be prepared and know how to do it. But a lot of guys start off with major approach anxiety, or maybe they don't have approach anxiety at all. They just don't know how to flirt and be charismatic and talk to women. You're not going to have those skill sets. So you need to start out with a lot of volume. So that's why you need to be thinking of the places where there are a lot of women that you can talk to. Okay. Now, be reasonable here, right? You might say, oh, well, I could go to a Target or a Whole Foods, but I never really see that many cute girls there. Well, okay. But you do know that when you go there, there's going to be a minimum of 5 approaches. So where can you go where the opportunity can present more than 5 approaches? So we'll go over a couple of examples, right? So that might be, like I said, a department store, Target, Whole Foods, a grocery store, a shopping mall. It could be a downtown area or a park where people are walking around, right? So more than 5 opportunities, because you don't want to be bouncing around to 6 different coffee shops to get one approach in. You want to try to be efficient with your time. So if you're spending, let's say, an hour or 2 hours a week on doing approaches, where are those places that you can go where you can get that volume? So you're not walking around. So, again, if you have really bad approach anxiety and you go to a place and there's only one person to approach because it's a low volume place and your approach anxiety gets the best of you and you don't do it, then you're totally screwed. Now you have zero, because you got to count for that. Sometimes you're going to go to places and you're going to get in your head and you're going to skip a couple of approaches, and that's normal. So you need to be in a place where, okay, there are more opportunities present itself for you to be able to do that approach. So that's what I want you to think. Where are the places in your town? Some of you might be like, well, I live in a small town. What am I supposed to do? So the answer that I give guys, again, especially in the coaching program, so guys who I coach who live in small towns, the answer is, what is the nearest town? And I would say anywhere from about 30 minutes to an hour away. I think you have the time to get in your car and drive if it calls for it. What's that nearest town that has a bigger population where you can get that volume, where you have that opportunity? So if you live in a suburb, maybe you're going to have to drive down to the city. I used to live in LA, and I remember I had to drive all the way to Hollywood because for a period of time when I was learning this stuff, I was in the suburbs. So I was in the suburbs of LA and there wasn't that much volume. So I had to drive sometimes, a little over an hour to get to like Santa Monica to do approaches. So you got to do what you got to do, right? So if you live in that small town, get to the nearest city where you can get that volume. Very important. So here's the most short answer I could give you. Where's the best place to meet a lot of women? Wherever a lot of women are. There you go. That's your filter. That's what I want you to be thinking about.